You've probably seen the news, the budget's out, so I'm back here at the farm.
Changes to inheritance tax means for the first time in decades, agricultural land will be subject to 20% tax.
In the UK, inheritance tax for everyone else is 40%. So with the new budget, farmers can expect half the amount of inheritance tax as everyone else, and they're still moaning about it.
Until this new budget, for generations, farming families have inherited millions in assets without paying any tax. So what are these exceedingly wealthy, entitled, detached house-dwelling asset barons really moaning about?
The truth is, we should all be concerned about this new tax. It doesn't just affect farmers, it affects everything. And obviously, my normal disclaimer, I can't speak for every farmer in the UK or every farm, but sometimes Mum lets me talk about this one.
This is my mum's little slice of the British countryside in Buckinghamshire, England. 150 acres of permanent pasture. As of the new budget, this farm will likely come with a tax bill of over £100,000, which can kindly be split out and paid over 10 years.
And where there is an inheritance tax bill, you can pay that over 10 years interest-free. So only a very small number of agricultural properties will be affected.
96% of the population of the UK does not pay inheritance tax. After this becomes law, 96% of farmers will.
Where have you got that figure from?
Who here, can I just ask, who here is going to be unaffected by these changes? No one.
Right. Where have you got the 96% figure
Well,
from?
you've got 96%.
Yeah.
Well, the same place that Rachel Reeves does, from the middle of her head.
Right.
From the Sixth Form Debating Society that she was no doubt a member of.
New DEFRA statistics outline that the average lowland graze farm made £17,300 last year. Now, I think Mum would be ecstatic with that.
Oh, honestly. You're a shocker.
But even so, with death taxes stretching into the hundreds of thousands, the only way that a farm like this can afford a tax bill like that is to sell land.
And that's true of every farm really around here that I've grown up around. The 0% inheritance tax was the only way that family farms could stay in the family. And that's why this is a much bigger issue, because the only future for so much of Britain's farmland has become the open market.
And that's why this affects us all, because one thing I know from an upbringing around farmers is something so subtle a lot of people wouldn't understand, is they don't think of themselves as owning any land. They do on paper, but not in their hearts, and it's a subtle difference that means everything to why I believe this issue is important to everyone. The culture of farmers is that of guardianship, not ownership. It's not a selfish greed to profit. It's a natural urge to protect what the land does for them and what they do for the land. The sense of responsibility farmers feel for the inheritance from their parents is so great.
Is the Minister, the Secretary of State and the Chancellor aware that so serious are the consequences of this policy that the heads of farming families in their 80s and 90s are seriously considering committing suicide before this policy comes into place?
It really is that rooted. My mum walks down the roadside picking up the litter in the hedges. She plants trees, digs out ditches, mends dodgy fences, and does whatever she can to make something out of nothing. Grass. And that's unbelievably positive for our countryside and environment here in Britain. Now, personally, I think the world gets a stupidly good deal in letting farmers farm. From the outside, this way of life is so incredibly misunderstood. It's not about pay rises, climbing ladders, the latest trends. It's about protecting a little piece of the world.
Farmers like my mum, they work the longest hours I've ever seen, get paid way less than minimum wage, and they have decades of experience looking after land like this. They have the know-how, they've got all their friends and contacts, and they keep the countryside looking like countryside, which is really important.
So if you're not around it, you may think this is a tax on the rich. But I can absolutely assure you with every fibre of my being, this is a tax on everyone, because the alternative is a mysterious entity looking for a return on investment that has no affinity to the hedgerow laid by their father, or the ditch dug by their grandfather, or the oak tree they climbed as a child. I know who I'd rather leave in charge. Thank you for watching. Farmers do an incredible job looking after 70% of the land here in the UK. If you think so too, please share it with someone else. Finally, I'm going to leave you with Mum, unedited. I wasn't planning to put this in, but her response made too much of an impression to ignore.
What do you think of the budget? The change in inheritance tax change?
I haven't heard enough information yet. All I've just heard
That's
is...
very diplomatic.
It is very diplomatic. That's all you're going to get out of me.
Diplomacy.
Diplomacy.
Right, honourable gentleman.
Yeah, whatever. It's really sad because, you know, I'm only a custodian. People look and say, oh yeah, you got all this money, you got all this land. No. This is for my sons and my grandsons and future generations, you know? And it's going to be so expensive and it's so unfair. Yeah, we're not big, huge landowners, we're little family farms. And if they want the countryside full of solar panels and storage, they don't seem to want us that are producing meat. But when there's a war or something impacts on this country, watch then. See what happens then. There'll be no eggs. We'll chuck all the eggs, let all the milk go down the drain and then see. See what it's like then. You feel very, a little bit hard done by. Yeah. There's a lot of really upset people and there's people that have committed suicide, which is really, really terrible. But I don't really know the whole picture and I'm not gonna. But it'll impact you and all the ones that want to go into farm, all the sons that think, oh my God, wow. There won't be any, yeah. There'll just be big factory farms then. They don't want us little ones that are looking after our animals and loving what we do and trying to, but yeah, it'll be factory farming, big feedlots and yeah, or perhaps we'll, yeah. So it's very upsetting, but we knew there has got to be change and we have got to pay more taxes, haven't we? Because there are people, the NHS, and there's such a lot going on that need more money and this, that and the other, but we'll see. We keep an open mind. We don't, I'm not but there's a lot of people that are really, really, really upset and very, I try and sort of, perhaps I bury my head, I'm a bit like the ostrich. But I like to keep positive and think something will happen or something might change or somebody will see. Don't know. It's tough, it's really tough. So, yeah, and all they want us to do is grow wildflowers and not have any animals. That's it. So that's it. I shall always have a few bits and bobs though. Yeah? Don't you worry, I'll fill your freezer up, Roo, and all my friends and family, so don't worry.
It's really weird, isn't it, Josh? Because we're here, like I've written a script, and Mum basically ticked every point off in my script. I was going to say, cut. Yeah. Have we just wrapped? That's unbelievable. I mean, we'll still do the script, but wow. Could be the most coherent I've ever heard Mum talk in the last few years. Last time I messaged her, we stopped doing the podcast because Mum said she's got nothing to say. We do want to keep doing the podcast, but we're having a hiatus because Mum, she's got nothing intelligent to say apparently. That seemed quite intelligent, Mum. You catch her in the right moment.